Next is my colleague from Virginia, who was formerly an official at Liberty University, Mr. Good.
Thank you, Chairman Scott, and thank you, Secretary Cardona, for being with us today. On April 19, 2021, the Department of Education published a proposed rule prioritizing the development of culturally responsive teaching and learning and the promotion of information literacy skills in grants under these programs. Specifically, the proposed rule references the New York Times 1619 Project and Professor Ibram Kendi as demonstrating aspects of culturally responsive teaching and learning. Secretary Cardona, the 1619 Project asserts that the Revolutionary War was fought to preserve the institution of slavery in American colonies. Do you believe this to be true and that this should be taught in classrooms across the country?
Thank you. I do believe that our students should be exposed to culturally relevant pedagogy and materials, but I refer to it more as windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors, where they can use the curriculum as a window.
I'm sorry, time is short. Could you just answer yes or no? Do you believe that the Revolutionary War was fought primarily to preserve the institution of slavery in the colonies?
So I'm not going to comment on specific questions regarding to.
So you will not deny that you believe that. Do you believe that it should be taught, that the Revolutionary War was fought to preserve the institution of slavery in the colonies, that should be taught to kids in classrooms across the country?
I believe educators across the country are able to decide how they teach our history.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Thank you. If you're not going to deny that you would think that should be taught. Secretary Cardona, Professor Kendi wrote in his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, that, and I quote, "The only remedy to racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination." Secretary Cardona, do you believe that discrimination in any form is acceptable and that discrimination should be taught in our schools as an acceptable practice for our children?
No.
Thank you very much. And so you will commit that you will not support that as Secretary of Education, teaching any discrimination in our schools?
We should be promoting community in our schools, and I'm confident that our educators do that.
Thank you, sir. Different phrases are sometimes used to describe the radical leftist ideas that the DOE is proposing to fund with hardworking American tax dollars. When you were in your role as Connecticut Education Commissioner, you called it woke. Dr. Kendi has called it anti-racism, but many, of course, have known it as critical race theory. One of the concerns that many of us have with critical race theory is that it tends to view race as predictive. New York Times contributor Thomas Chatterton Williams even argued that critical race theory adherents share common cause with white supremacists. Thankfully, some states have curtailed or banned the teaching of critical race theory, including Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas. Secretary Cardona, does the Department of Education plan on challenging the actions taken in these states and their rights not to teach material they find as objectionable, dishonest, and not in the best interest of our country or our children?
So Representative Good, you know, as I stated to your colleagues earlier in this hearing, that states have the responsibility and locals for deciding curriculum, and there is no federal role in that. With that
said, the Department of Education will not challenge actions taken by states not to teach critical race theory.
I would love the opportunity to finish what I was going to say earlier.
I would just like a yes or no answer, please, which is a little over a minute to go. That
well,
the Department of Education challenge their intention not to teach critical race theory in those states.
As I've said before, states have the responsibility of providing curriculum, and we understand that. But the culturally relevant pedagogy is critically important for students to feel engaged and part of a school community. And I have confidence in our educators across the country to get it right. And I think this has become more
So you will not challenge it legally?
I think this has become more politicized than it is about programming.
Okay, I'm going to move on, please. Thank you, sir. My home state of Virginia, unfortunately, has embraced the Biden administration's and the Department of Education's policies here, and it's proof that causes all kinds of issues. You can just see this past week in Virginia's Loudoun County, one of the largest counties in Virginia, the Board of Education there, rather than face parental criticism, they shut down public comment, they adjourned the meeting, and they actually called the police to come in and arrest parents who had gathered to express their grievances with government and local school officials. I hope that you will not nationalize the culture war that started in Virginia and bankrupt critical race theory with hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And I'm 7 minutes left on my time, and I'll yield back, Chairman.
Thank you. The gentleman's time has expired.